The battle still rages on for the title of the largest dinosaur to walk the Earth. As more time passes, we uncover more evidence of these prehistoric giants. And we're not talking about just the plant eaters, but the meat-eating dinosaurs too. Just how big were the mightiest sauropods, and could these giants really have fallen prey to the ferocious meat-eaters during their time? Could the mighty Giganotosaurus or the huge and scary Spinosaurus defeat a Tyrannosaurus-rex in battle? And could the T-Rex have been 70% larger than previously thought? If you love dinosaurs, then get ready to find out the answers to this and more. Many of you probably learned that dinosaurs, such as Brontosaurus and Diplodocus, were the biggest, and they were the standard image of monstrous plant eaters to museum goers for more than a century. But as time went on, we quickly learned that even these enormous animals weren't the largest of all. Lots of new dinosaur bones were uncovered during the Great Dinosaur Renaissance, which lasted from the 1970s through to the 1990s. And these fossils had big names, like Ultrasaurus, Seismosaurus, and Supersaurus. The problem was that the announcements from the field about these huge monsters didn't hold up in the lab when the fossils were studied. Sadly, a lot of dinosaur bones that were discovered back then were either lost, destroyed during World War II, or the fossils simply disintegrated, and no other examples have since been discovered. The largest complete fossil skeleton for a plant-eating dinosaur that's been found belongs to Brachiosaurus, which ranged in size from 17 to 22 meters long and would have stood some 13 meters tall. The huge dinosaur probably weighed as much as 70 tons. It had longer front limbs compared to its hind limbs, which likely helped the Brachiosaurus reach higher vegetation without straining its long neck. Some paleontologists say that this dinosaur might have occasionally stood up on its hind legs to reach food. The huge Brachiosaurus was so big that it likely had few predators, and it's estimated they lived for about 100 years. One of the largest herbivores we've evidence of roamed around the Earth about 100 million years ago during the early Cretaceous with other giant sauropods. This huge beast is called Patagotitan majorum, or better known as Titanosaur. Many fossils of this dinosaur have been found, including a thigh bone that measures 2.4 meters long. With some of the pieces of the puzzle, it had its skeleton completely cast and was unveiled at the American Museum of Natural History. The skeleton of the Titanosaur is so big that its head and neck stick out in the hallway of the museum. The Titanosaur was estimated to weigh around 69 metric tons. That's more than 10 full-grown African elephants. These creatures were so big when they were full-grown that it could have been very difficult for predators to take them down. That's huge, but there was another plant-eating dinosaur even bigger than Titanosaur. We're talking about Argentinosaurus. It's been known to science since 1993, but evidence of this behemoth was originally found back in 1987. A rancher found a huge fossil the size of a full-grown human, but the rancher didn't know it was an ancient fossil and thought it was a large chunk of petrified wood. But it turned out to be a large single vertebra that belonged to a newly discovered sauropod. Like many dinosaur bone discoveries, no complete skeletons have been found of Argentinosaurus, but what archaeologists have found gives us a clear picture of how big this beast really was, growing to a length of 37 to 40 meters, and it probably weighed somewhere between 90 and 100 metric tons. But there were not only herbivorous dinosaurs that walked on all fours. There were some really big bipedal plant-eating dinosaurs that were much bigger than even Tyrannosaurus-rex and even Spinosaurus, both of which we'll get to in a few moments. For many decades, the only fossils that paleontologists had of a beast called Dinosaurus, an omnivorous giant theropod, was a pair of 8-foot-long arms that had 8-inch claws, which were the largest and longest arms of any bipedal dinosaur. Discovered back in the Gobi Desert in 1964, scientists named it Dinosaurus mirificus, Greek for terrible hands. Fossils tell us this dinosaur reached lengths of 10 meters long and stood at least 4.5 meters tall. And with most adults weighing in at over 9 tons, it was no slouch in the size department either. You're probably wondering what it used the long arms and claws for. Paleontologists say that Dinosaurus likely used its long arms and claws to dig up plants or even catch fish. However, Dinosaurus probably snatched up any other small creature that was unlucky enough to cross paths with it. Other features of this big, unique dinosaur include a large, thick, humped backbone. This dinosaur sounds big and scary, but there was a bipedal herbivore even bigger. Around the same time, about 100 million years ago during the late Cretaceous period, there was a huge hadrosaurid dinosaur that roamed in what is now the Shandong Peninsula. Its scientific name is Shandungosaurus giganteus, or Shandong lizard, due to it being one of the largest ornithischian dinosaurs found to date. A full-grown Shandungosaurus could reach lengths of up to 16.5 meters, and some of the largest of these dinosaurs could have weighed around 16 tons. The skull alone from one of these beasts measured 1.6 meters long. And like all hadrosaurs, it had a giant toothless beak, but its jaws were packed with around 1,500 tiny chewing teeth. It was a strange dinosaur in that fossil remains show a large hole near its nostrils that paleontologists say could have been covered by a flap of skin that could be inflated to make sounds. If this dinosaur was full grown, it might have been too intimidating for predators to attack it. But all of these dinosaurs had one thing in common. They were all on the menu of some predatory meat-eating dinosaur. The last two dinosaurs we talked about were likely hunted by Tarbosaurus. This dinosaur was also discovered in the Gobi Desert and could reach 10 to 12 meters in length, and as a result, weighed in at 4.5 metric tons. Like all other meat-eating predators of the time, this dinosaur hunted and ate anything it could bring down. It had thick and long legs that allowed it to move with speed and agility. The interesting thing about this terrifying predator is that it had a unique locking mechanism in its 1.2 meter long jaw, which had between 58 and 64 large, sharp, knife-shaped teeth, about 8.3 centimeters long. This meant that when it attacked its unlucky prey, its jaw could lock down on the victim, leaving it with no way to escape. This dinosaur was the king of dinosaurs in ancient Asia, but in North America, a much more menacing king of the dinosaurs was found. The Tyrannosaurus-rex is probably everyone's favorite dinosaur, even though it would have been a terrifying monster for any human to encounter. The T-Rex was definitely one of the biggest carnivorous dinosaurs, measuring up to 12.3 meters long, and could weigh up to 8.8 metric tons. And for their size, they were quick. Some scientists say that the tyrant lizard king could sprint between 20 and 32 kilometers per hour. And if something wasn't fast enough to escape the Tyrannosaurus-rex, it would have to contend with a 1.2 meter long jaw full of 50 to 60 banana-sized teeth that could exert up to 12,814 pounds of force. Recently, scientists have done a study that concludes this dinosaur could be 70% bigger than fossils suggest. That means the largest T-Rex could have weighed a whopping 15 metric tons. That's heavier than the average bus. T-Rex was almost certainly an apex predator and could probably bring down anything with that incredibly powerful bite and those 30 centimeter long teeth. While the T-Rex definitely sounds big and impressive, he wasn't the biggest meat eater. And even though the skeletons of the next big carnivorous dinosaur are incomplete, we have somewhat an idea of how big it was. Giganotosaurus was thought to stand 6 meters high and was around 13.7 meters long. However, paleontologists have argued that the skull of the Giganotosaurus was the same size as Tyrannosaurus-rex and probably had less bite force. But their jaws could open and close faster, and they brought down their prey by delivering quick, powerful bites, whereas T-Rex's bite was so powerful it could crush the bones of its prey. But Giganotosaurus was thought to have one big advantage over T-Rex, as it could run as fast as 50 kilometers per hour, thanks to its larger and more powerful leg muscles. Even though this dinosaur might be bigger than T-Rex, if these two got into a battle, it might be better for Giganotosaurus to run. But there is another dinosaur that is just as terrifyingly scary, if not more so. The legendary Spinosaurus was first discovered back in 1912 by German paleontologist Ernst Stromer in Egypt. Unfortunately, the original fossils were destroyed during World War II. But drawings with notes of the fossils were detailed enough for paleontologists to come up with enough ideas of what it looked like. Spinosaurus had jaws like a crocodile, with conical teeth and large hooked claws for catching slippery prey, like the 20-foot-long sawfish or giant lungfish. This makes sense because Egypt, during the late Cretaceous period, was a tropical oasis of mangrove-lined rivers full of sharks and other giant fish. Since then, paleontologists in the Moroccan Sahara have found a mostly complete tail of a Spinosaurus. With its huge sail on its back, the dinosaur stood at 6.5 meters tall, and its skull was 1.75 meters long. Spinosaurus could grow between 14 to 18 meters long and weighed an astonishing 12,000 to 20,000 kilograms. And just because this dinosaur was more adapted to the water, it was a hybrid and could also hunt on land if it had to. Were it to run into Giganotosaurus, it could probably win the battle. But Tyrannosaurus-rex, on the other hand, with its massive bite force and 30 centimeter long teeth, just might have given the Spinosaurus a run for its money. Now that you've seen and heard about these incredible dinosaurs, we want to hear from you, our viewers. Which one is your favorite? Make sure to give us a like because it really helps us out. And if you want to see more videos on dinosaurs, then make sure to stay tuned here by subscribing. Thanks for watching.